Welcome to another episode of What the Hell. So today I'm going to be talking about my new purchase, this Nitecore UMS2, and I'm going to go through a list of the things that I don't like about it and talk about the quirks and bugs that I've come across in the first 24 hours that I've been using it. So first off, this is supposed to be compatible with Quick Charge 2.0, and here is I'm using my phone's battery charger, which is a Samsung adapter, and this one is supposed to be a Quick Charge 2.0, and it's capable of 9 volt, 1.67 amps, and 5 volt, 2 amps output. So that's right on the money when it comes to the quick charge 2.0 specs. But somehow this charger doesn't recognize this as a quick charge and sees it as just a regular basic charger. So I'm gonna plug it in now. So it's this routine where it lights up all the lights, and as you can see over here, it's supposed to say quick charge, but it doesn't say it. See, that part is blacked out. It's not illuminated. So as is, it will limit the charging current to 2 amps per channel as opposed to 3 amps per channel. So that's quite annoying. So when charging the batteries, this one is supposed to be capable of setting the current charge from 100 milliamps to 2 amps using the basic charger. But what I found out is that's not always true. So I'm gonna use this Fujitsu nickel metal hydride battery as an example. So let's measure the voltage on this one. So the voltage is 1.36, so it's halfway charged. So I'm gonna try to charge this one. So as you can see, it reads the voltage correctly. Let's see, 1.36, and by default, it sets the charge current to 500 milliamps. And I'm gonna attempt to change that and change it to 100 milliamps. I wouldn't normally set it to 100 milliamps, but I just want to show the example of the bugs on this charger. Let me do that again. Set it to 100 milliamps current charge. Now it's going to go through a cycle before right there, 390 milliamps. It won't go down to the 100 milliamps that I set it to. And sometimes that will show 400 milliamps, 500 milliamps, and never go to 100 milliamps. So here's another battery. And the voltage on this one is 1.35, pretty much the same as this one. And we're gonna set the charge current to the same 100 milliamps on this one. It defaults to 500 milliamps. I'm going to change that to 100 milliamps. Then it's going to cycle before it sets it to the current that I set. $390 again. $390 for slot number 2. Slot 1. Slot 1 has climbed to 490 milliamps. See, it creeped up to 490. That's another bug I found about this, is sometimes when you set the current, let's say I set it to 500, and then a few minutes later it will creep up to 600, over 600 milliamps for some reason. Again, these are totally randoms, so I don't always capture it on video. Sometimes I'm able to capture it, like right now. That's slot 1. Remember, I set this to 100 milliamps and it went to 390, and now it's up to 490, all on its own. And the voltage on this is still 1.38. So let's switch to slot number 2, this one. It's 384 milliamps, 1.36 volts. So that's one odd behavior. And the second thing I want to talk about is the internal resistance reading is way off and totally random, almost to the point that it's useless. So for this battery, it's reading the internal resistance to 272 milliohms, and for this battery it's 359 milliohms. And these are brand new battery. This is the second charge that I put on this battery. It's saying it's good, and sometimes it will show 500 milliohms and it will still say it's good. So let's put another battery here and see let's see how it reads the internal resistance. $136 milliohms. That's good. Again, these are totally random readings. $171. Let's disconnect it and then plug it back in and see how it reads it. $393. It doubled the reading for some reason. So that internal resistance reading is pretty much useless in my book. And next is it won't detect or tell you whether a battery is bad or good. Like with the internal resistance, it tells you it's good, but like I said, that's pretty much useless. Over here, I have some, I don't know, these are, I think, 10 years old, over 10 years old nickel metal hydride batteries. And I've marked these with X So I remember that these are bad. And let's read the voltage on these. This one is 1.4, 1.417. These are completely discharged, so they should be empty, and yet it's reading voltage as if they're fully charged. So let's plug this in. So it's all showing 143 volts, and internal resistance is 199 milliohms. So you would think this battery is good based on that 199 milliohms, but it's completely dead and completely bad. So it's the same thing with this battery. It will show 199 milliohms internal resistance. $199 every single night, every single time. Both these batteries will show $199. I don't know if that's the lowest internal resistance that it can read, but every single time it shows $199. So I'm gonna disconnect these both and reset the charger, connect them. So for slot number 2, it's reading 199 milliohms again. I'm gonna switch to slot 1, this one. Still 199 milliohms. So it says good, but these batteries are bad. They will no longer hold a charge. And another weird behavior is every time I charge these batteries, the charge voltage will read over 300, no, over 3 volts or 2 volts. Let's read it. So using my multimeter, I'm gonna read the charge voltage. It's 2.6, 2.58. That's high. And for this slot number 2, the charge voltage is 2.4 volts. When normally it's around 1.6 volts. But with a bad battery, it's charging it at over 2 volts. So that's one odd behavior. Again, it's thinking, hey, it's a good battery. And it's charging it at 500 milliamps at 2.5 volts. That can't be good. So I'll show you the charge voltage, how it should be when it's charging a perfectly good battery. So I'll just wait a few seconds for it to cycle and begin charging. Defaults to 490 milliamps right now. And the charge voltage is 1.424, which is about normal. And this one, 1.456. Again, that one's normal. So with brand new batteries or decent batteries, it will charge normally. And 220 milliohm internal resistance, 188 milliohm for this one. So with good batteries, the readings are, I guess, normal, you would say. And over here, I've got some brand new Nitecore lithium ion batteries. This one's a 14500 protected cell. Let's just test how this one performs, or how it tests on these battery on this charger. Oh, let me read the voltage first. This one is partial. I think this one's fully charged. 3.997 volts. So it reads it correctly. The charge mode is lithium ion at 4.2 volts, constant voltage, and it defaults to 500 milliamps. And then this one is an 18650, brand new. I have, let's see, this one's 3.78. So this one's partially charged. I just bought this. I haven't charged this yet. Let's see how it reads it. 3.78 volts. Internal resistance 332 milliohms. And with a bigger battery, any lithium ion charger longer than the 14500 will default to 1 amp charge current. So initially when I plugged this in, it started out at 800, and then it will progressively increase it to the 1 amp charge current. Once again, this one is detected as lithium ion 4.2 at constant current. So everything looks good there. Another thing I didn't like about this charger is that even though while it's charging, it will show you the time that has elapsed. Let me see. It will show you the time that has elapsed while charging it. But once it completes the charge, it won't show you the time. So you never know how long it took to charge the battery. According to the manual and Nitecore's website, if you're using a standard mode charger, not quick charge, and you're only charging with one channel, you can max out to up to 2 amps max. And if you're gonna charge with 2 channels, you can max out with 1 amps per channel. But as I will demonstrate, that's not really the case when charging with 2 nickel metal hydride batteries. Ooh, it just buzzed on me there. So I'm gonna set the current to 2 amps for slot 1, and for slot 2 I'm gonna do the same. Max it out to 2 amps and give it a few seconds to cycle and start charging. So right now we're in slot 2, charging at 2 amps. Switch it to slot 1, and it's also charging at 2 amps. And this is with a with just standard mode. It doesn't say quick charge. Once again, even though my charger is a quick charge 2.0, it doesn't detect it as such. So it's just using it as standard mode. But it's still doing 2 amps per channel at the same time. Did you see that? It made that buzzing noise. So every now and then, when I insert a new cell, the screen would flicker and you will hear that buzzing noise. Right there. Can you hear that? I hope you can hear that. Hear it, and the screen is, or the backlight is flickering. And it's showing 0 milliamps. So it's not charging. The screen is flickering. Still not charging, 0 milliamps on slot 2. Let's switch to slot 1. That one is also not charging. So that's another odd behavior of this charger. So these batteries are good. I put a check mark on them. This one has a double check mark to show that it has very low internal resistance. So don't mistake that from these two batteries. These ones are bad. These are good. But this one's buzzing. The charger is buzzing and it's not charging. So sometimes it will turn off by itself and reset. Or I could just disconnect the batteries and plug it back in, and hopefully it will restart normally. $521 milliamp. Now it's charging correctly. No buzzing, and the screen is not flickering. Let's switch to slot number 2. It's 130 milliamps. That thing's supposed to be default to 500 milliamps. And it's showing 600 milliohms, which is wrong. Look at that. It's 130 milliamps charge current. Let me disconnect that and reconnect it. Let's see if it sets the current to 500 like it's supposed to. $482 milliohms internal resistance. Okay, now it's back to 486, close to the 500. It's never exactly 500 milliamps or exactly the current that you set it, but it's close. So now it's normally set to how it's supposed to be. Another weird characteristic of this charger is that the digital readout for the voltage maxes out at 1.48 volts. Oh, I just noticed a bug. Did you see that? These are nickel metal hydride batteries, and yet it thinks it's a lithium ion battery. I almost missed that. That's another bug. It's switching. Now it's saying it's nickel metal hydride. What the hell? You see that? Now it's lithium ion. When I pick this up, okay, now it's back to lithium ion. It, so it thinks it's a lithium ion battery, 4.2 volts. And it's charging it at 700 milliamp, 4.19 volts. Again, these are nickel metal hydride batteries. Let me read the voltage on that. Let's see what the... So it's reading 1.7 volts, even though it says it's 4.19 volt. And this one, slot 2 is... It's reading it as a nickel metal hydride battery, 1.47 volts. And the multimeter reads the charge voltage at 1.6 volts. I just noticed that bug just now. It was switching between nickel metal hydride and lithium ion. See? Slot 1 sees it as a lithium ion. Slot 2, nickel metal hydride. Slot 1, lithium ion. Same battery. Very weird. Anyway, before I got interrupted with that bug, I was gonna say the readout for the voltage is, for this charger, it's limited to 1.48 volts. So as the battery completes its charge, it normally terminates at over 1.52 volts, I think, I remember. So even though the multimeter will read the voltage, the charge voltage at 1.52, the actual reading on the charger is limited to 1.48 volts. So that's one odd limitation on this charger. Here's another time when the charger misbehaved and randomly turns off by itself when inserting batteries. It's restarting. This charger is very buggy, very unstable. So there you have it. All those bugs pretty much presented itself in the first 24 hours of using this charger. So I'm not sure whether I'm gonna keep this or return it. There's just way too many bugs on this charger. And if anybody's gonna get this or currently have it, I'd suggest that you pay close attention to how it's reading the battery and how it's charging it. Don't just put a battery in and forget it. You really have to pay attention, because I don't know if it's just a one-off that this particular charger is buggy, or if it's inherent on this model UMS2. And I really wanted to like this charger, but for it to show its ugly face immediately like that, I don't know if I can trust this in the long run. All right, thanks for watching. Until next time, see ya.